Hi, I'm Mike.
I'm Alex.
And this is NFGeeks.
Sure.
All right, Alex.
Yes.
I've had this really great epiphany about the temperaments, and I want to share a specific theory about NTs with you, and kind of get your feedback as my INTJ simulator. Okay?
Sure.
As you have always been a very good one.
Thank you.
And
of course I have.
Sure, absolutely, perfect. And so I'm going to kind of take you through it, different parts of it, okay? And I want you to comment as it goes on. Alex hasn't heard this yet. I've kept it from him. So whatever Alex says, this is his initial response.
I'm just on the edge of my seat right now.
For an INTJ. Yes. Okay. So first of all, I got to give some background, some a priori stuff. And one of the things, and this is about the whole Myers-Briggs thing, one of the things I want to change in the dialogue, and you're going to see me talk about this in lots of other videos, is that I want to stop talking about functions and start talking about collective consciousnesses. Okay? Meaning that the way we kind of look at this, and you can see this in the videos and everything, is that, like E and F and P and all that are sort of like these parts that are inside of me. Okay, so I am the whole, and then these things are sort of a reductionary parts, like a machine inside of me. And that's not wrong, but I want to reverse it and say that no, actually, I'm a part of ENFP. There's this much larger thing, this much larger consciousness called ENFP that's in the world, and I'm part of a collective consciousness with other ENFPs doing ENFP things. But really, there's this giant sort of hive mind, if you will, that's interacting in the world. Okay. Now, a good INTJ may ask me, where's your proof of that? I just want you to sort of suspend your beliefs and just accept this idea as being
I'm listening right now.
Okay, great. So, and that's why I want to change the argument to that. Actually, in philosophy, this is called the universal particulars argument. I won't get into that. But, so I am a piece of this much larger collective consciousness called ENFP. As opposed to it being inside of me, it's actually bigger than me. And I'm just one piece of it. Like a mind, and I'm a neuron. Like that. Okay? So I want to talk about this regarding NTs. Okay?
Yep.
Now I had this theory, and I'm trying to work it through all the temperaments, but the NT I came up with first. And so I was contemplating, how do NTs, or NT consciousness, as this giant collective consciousness, how does NT produce ideas that actually manifest into the physical world and the human world? So NT consciousness comes up with these things, builds these things, and then they come out there. Like the space shuttle, or the internet, or the Hadron Collider, or steam engines.
Or the Curiosity rover.
Sure, exactly. Yeah. Curiosity, yeah. Yeah, I can't wait for the pictures.
Some pictures have already come out.
Yes, I saw them.
I know, yeah, me too.
I know,
I was watching it live.
Oh, were you?
At like 1 in the morning. Yeah.
Oh, like a good NT.
Exactly, like a good NT.
With all the other NTs.
Yes. I could tell they were all NTs in NASA. Even the wacky ones with the mohawk, with the long hair, they were the NTPs.
Yes. Okay, that's perfect, because what I want to talk about is that how is this much larger NT consciousness, producing things like curiosity, or even your ancestors, steam engines, or the Appian Way, like who designed the Roman streets? It must have been an NT.
Sure, of course.
Right? Okay. So here's my theory. Here it goes, and stop me at any time.
Okay.
So I was thinking that this happens in an assembly line process, where one level of consciousness.
Well, the assembly line wasn't invented until later on.
True, but that's okay. That doesn't matter.
Okay.
Because it's part of NT anyway, in a Hegelian sense.
So in other words, the idea's been around for thousands of years.
Oh, eternity. Infinity.
Eternity, but we haven't come up with it until just recently.
Yes, and Hegel would agree. Anybody who knows philosophy, they would say that. Okay.
Well, in your defense,
sure.
Possibly because technology didn't permit us to do it at the time.
Okay. Well,
in your defense, maybe.
And let me change out of the assembly line is really a metaphor. There's an order of process.
Okay.
Okay. So now I'm going to talk about the types, like INTJ, ENTP. But I want you to think of them, you could think of them as individuals and see how this would work, but I also want you to think of it as consciousnesses, much larger things. So what I want to talk about is the linear process, how an idea starts and goes through the NT process and then comes out to the world.
Okay.
And then I'm going to take it up to another level in complexity.
Okay? Sure.
So this is what I think happens. An idea starts with the INTP.
Yep.
They, in their internal thinking, contemplating the world, because they have an external, extroverted intuition. That's not, that's their auxiliary. But then they do this deep sort of internal thinking and contemplate what could be possible in the world rationally and create an idea.
I think INTPs, they ask questions.
Yes, they do.
That's what I think they are. INTPs are question people.
Mm.
INTJs are answer people.
Yes, and we're going to get to that.
Okay.
Where you're in
so
that.
Not so much that they create an idea, but they ask a question.
Yes, and they say...
They ask a what-if question.
Yes, what if it was possible to do X?
Yes.
So, abstractly, it starts with them.
Yep.
This gets passed on to the ENTP consciousness, who then tries to invent it and bring it out in the world. Like, oh, that's a good idea. So I'm going to invent this thing and put it now out into the world. Okay? It then goes to the INTJ, who says, this is very nice, but this is how it should work, and they streamline it. And they cut it down and they make it into a more effective, practical thing.
Yep.
And then it goes to the ENTJ, who says, great, let's put it out into the world in this much larger system.
Sure.
Okay?
That makes sense, actually.
Yes. So in review, it starts with an idea for NT starts with INTP.
Yep.
The ENTP invents something out of that.
Yep.
Okay? The INTJ takes it and streamlines it and say, okay, this is how it should work.
Makes it perfects it.
Yes, perfects it, and then gives it to the ENTJ, who says, okay, this is how we're going to put it out into the world, into this much larger system. So that's the basic premise. So do you have any thoughts about that first?
No, I think that sounds pretty accurate for the most part. I mean, I think, with any example, shit happens. So there could be exceptions, obviously.
Yes, and I have some answers for that.
Oh, okay, but I think for the most part, that sounds pretty accurate. It's
good.
A pretty logical flow. Yeah,
yes.
I agree with that.
And honestly, I have a theory for all the temperaments, but I started with the NT, and all the NTs are going to love this, because it seemed to be the most rational. It seemed to be the most rational to understand.
Most ordinal, like
yes.
1, 2, 3.
Absolutely.
ABC.
Yes, it made complete sense. All right, now I'm going to take it up in complexity. Okay, and that is that these are kind of like a circuit where it can loop back at any moment to any other point.
Sure.
Okay, so for example, INTP comes with an idea, some kind of question. The ENTP creates something. It goes to the INTJ consciousness, and INTJ says, okay, this is a nice idea, but this isn't going to fucking work. So it goes back to the ENTP. The INTJ sends it back. The ENTP tries to reinvent it. It goes back to the INTJ. Or the ENTP realizes, oh, the INTJ is right, this isn't going to work. INTP, what do? It can loop around to all the different points. It doesn't have to go totally linear. It can go circular back and forth to any point. So, for example, it might go to the ENTJ, some kind of technology. And the ENTJ might say, okay, this is really great, but I can't mass produce this. Because I need to mass produce this in this large system. So it goes back to the INTJ. The INTJ says, you know what, this is great, but I can't mass produce this either. Give me an idea. It goes back to the ENTP. Okay, so it can loop back at any point in the system. Okay, so that it becomes perfected as it comes out.
I am speechless. Surprisingly, I am in agreement with you on this.
Really? Do you like this?
I like
this
a lot,
I thought about this on my bike. Before I wiped out today. Before I wiped out.
You know something? It's funny you mentioned that. I saw a thing on Google. I Google image search philosophy.
Okay.
And I saw something. It said, the best philosophy class you can take is looking out the window of a train.
Really?
And I thought you might like that.
Yeah, that's fantastic. That's brilliant. Who said that?
I have no idea. It was just one of those images with a quote, one of those things.
Okay.
But I thought you might like that, so that doesn't surprise me actually, especially in NF, because that's a very NF quote.
Yeah, that is a very NF quote. One of the things that led me to this, again, I want to give NTs a lot of credit here, is that I was trying to figure out this for NF, and I couldn't. And I'm an ENFP, and this is freaking NFGeeks.
Because you were mentioning this on the car ride about NF, so I want to hear your NF view, because I'm in complete agreement with you on the NT thing. I have absolutely no comment to give.
Oh wow!
No, just nothing. Just no troll whatsoever. No, I'm completely in agreement with you on the NT for the most part. The only thing I can think of probably is a few rare occasions or rare exceptions, possibly, where shit happens.
Sure.
But, other than that, I mean, I am in agreement with you. So, but now I just want to hear your NF
Okay,
one.
before that, I want to talk about shit happens.
Sure,
I have a theory about that.
Okay.
Okay, I have this theory called consciousness entropy, which is that as the idea goes through the circuit, something gets lost. Okay? So, for example, again, think about what you were saying in the introversion. The INTP is thinking this very deep thing. This contemplating and thinking and rational thought, this very deep thing. And the INTP consciousness can't get all of it out to the ENTP. So now something's lost.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? The ENTP doesn't have the same level of thinking. So when the ENTP creates the thing and gives it to the INTJ, something is lost. When the INTJ is contemplating it, they're having their deep theoretical intuitive thing that they can't get out all the time, something gets lost. So there's a little bit that gets lost. Now it doesn't mean it can't be found again, but a little energy comes out each time it goes through the circuit.
And in that sense, I think probably the shit happens.
Yes.
Would probably happen is that just by some random occurrence, one of them finds out what's lost.
Yes. Yes.
Like
guess which one that is? The INTJ.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think so. That's my hypothesis. Or sometimes the ENTJ.
Cause that's actually what I was thinking, actually, the ENTJ.
Yeah. Because the ENTJ is thinking at the big picture.
Right.
Like the NTJ might take an idea and say, okay, you know what, this is a great idea, but I actually need 100,000 of these widgets. How can you make the widgets? I want to hold on to this. This is nice, but I don't need this. I need widgets. And then it goes back all the way backward. It loops back and goes forward.
Yeah.
Like circuits.
Right.
All right, so you want to hear the NF one?
Sure, yeah, but I just find it interesting, though.
Sure. So you can keep going on this.
Because ENTJ is the last step. INTP is the first step.
Yes.
I find that interesting that they're the most that they're one of the most compatible with each other.
Yes, and that's right.
INTJ and ENTP are kind of in that middle, and they're most compatible with each other too. I find that interesting as well.
Well, that's great because I didn't even think of that. And honestly, if there's just one loop, it goes to the ENTJ, and the ENTJ will say, "Great, this works. What else have you got for me?" It goes back to the INTP.
Right. Sure. Yeah.
So they're linked in that way. And honestly, the ENTP and INTJ have a relationship because the INTJ is saying, well, this is a great idea, but it's not going to work in the real world. And then the ENTP uses their imagination to say, oh, well, how about this, the flux capacitor?
Right.
And then the INTJ says, do we really have to go 88 miles an hour? They try to fix it. So they have this little loop going on.
Right, yeah. Oh, okay.
But because it's all rational, it's all like streamlined. You know what I mean? Like it's almost like a wire of electricity. It goes pew, 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 around it.
Yeah, indeed. Okay, now what's the NF one?
Okay, the NF one might be a little more abstract. So ask me. So I was trying to figure out what is going on because this model, which works, and I really like, but I came up with this like, oh wow, I really got something here. I couldn't apply it to NF, and I was like, okay, what's actually happening with NF? So here's my theory.
Well, you can't apply the same order, INFP, and then...
No.
No?
No.
And
sort of, a little bit.
And then ENFP, and then INFJ, and then ENFJ, you can't do that?
A little bit, but it's not... It doesn't feel right, because here's what happens. Here's the difference.
Because I'll admit, if you can't do that, then there is either a flaw in your theory, or there's a flaw in the Myers-Briggs theory.
My God. All right, well, let me give you my NF theory, because this makes sense to me as a fellow NF. Okay. The difference is that we're not... Okay, in all of the links of the NT, you're communicating with thinking.
Yep.
And in all of our communicating, we're communicating with feeling.
Yep.
Now, this is my metaphor. You guys have wires, direct connection, because rational is very logical, so it's going straight.
Yep.
I think that feeling is like waves. So it's not linear. So in other words, imagine little bobbles in a pond. And one goes up and down, and it sends out waves. Okay, this is how it feels like to me. So let's imagine that there's INFJ, ENFP, INFP, ENFJ in a pond. And one sends out a wave of emotion. It hits all of us at the same time. Because that's how it feels like, okay? It feels like it hits all of us, and then we reflect back the waves, okay? Now, if there's a linearness to it, I think it goes in this direction. It starts with the INFJ.
I fortunately cannot relate. Notice how I said fortunately.
No, that's okay. That's all right. That's fine. what I really want you to do is not to tell me experientially, but theoretically, if my rationalism is okay here.
When you just said wave, that just made me think of just one thing about like how NFs are able to connect with this.
Yes.
You know, I don't know if you noticed, but the audience, they do the wave. They all stand up and they do that. I've been off on that. I always do it at the last when I'm not supposed to is when I do it.
That's brilliant.
Yes, and that's my extroverted sensing, I think.
Oh yes.
It's my weak function.
That's fantastic.
But that's just when you said wave. I don't know why it just made me think of that.
Sure. All right. Then let me bring it into NT world.
Okay.
Think of radio waves.
Yep. Okay.
X-rays.
Okay, that makes more sense.
Okay, like that.
Gamma rays.
Those
rays. Those are more destructive.
Right. Everyone's favorite waves.
That's my favorite. Yeah.
Okay. Think of it that way as opposed to the wave in sports. So, all right. So I'll give the linear first. I think it starts with the INFJ. They come up with this deep contemplation of NF stuff and then emotionally let it out because they have extroverted feeling. Then next comes the ENFP, because we can read INFJs, and I actually think ENFPs are the only ones who can read INFJs, and so we read it and then we put it out in the world.
I agree with you on that.
Really?
To a certain. No, I take that back, because there are INFJs I can pick up on.
Okay.
But maybe on an NF level.
Yes.
Okay. But
well, the ENFP takes the idea and then we send it out into the world. We say, hey, look, here's this idea. The INFP then takes it and evaluates it with their deep feeling. Is this good? Is this bad? Okay? And then it goes to the ENFJ, who actually acts like the ENTJ and tries to directly implement into the human world this NF idea.
So, in other words, then, the ENFJ plays the same role as the ENTJ.
Yes.
But all the other ones play different roles.
Yes.
So then, now just the way I'm looking at this, there's either a flaw in your theory or there's a flaw in the Myers-Briggs theory.
Okay, well, all right, but here's where it's different. Okay, let me explain this. The difference and what makes it sort of non-linear for everybody is that it's not happening linearly. It's happening in waves. So when the INFJ says something and it radiates out with them, it radiates in waves and it hits all the points simultaneously. So when the INFJ expresses something emotionally, it's coming out like this, and if we're all over here, I'm hitting it, it's hitting me, it's hitting INFP, and it's hitting ENFJ, sometimes at the same time. With you guys, it goes through a system. It hits all of us at once, and then the waves reflect back, okay, because it's bouncing off of us, and then we add our own waves to it, which then increases the waves or nullifies them. Okay, because sometimes when a low part and a high part of a wave, reach each other, so it cancels out. But if there's a high wave and then another high wave, it increases the waves. So it's more like it's kind of more like the cell phone towers. Things are bouncing back and forth, back and forth, back and forth emotionally, and so it's this very non-linear process. That now we each have a role, but like the INFP doesn't need the ENFP. Because the INFP is picking it up directly anyway. The ENFP is framing it in a different way, but because it's all going out in waves, each point is getting hit at the same time.
Okay, well, there is something I want to comment on this, and I don't know if you want to do a part 2 on this because we are a little over.
No, let's keep going. We're doing fine.
Okay, fine, because I've had this alternative theory for the Myers-Briggs actually.
Well, we're in the moment, so let's hear it.
I've mentioned this to you before. Okay, leaders. The ESTPs, the ESTJs, the ENFJs, and the ENTJs.
Yes.
Observers. The ISTPs, I gotta make sure I got this right. The ISTPs, the ISFJs, again, I gotta make sure I got this right. ISFJs, INFJs, no.
It's okay, we got time.
ISTPs, ISFJs, INFPs, INTPs.
Okay.
Did I get that right?
No, that's all 4.
Yeah, okay. Analyzers. ISTPs, ISTJs, INFJs, INTJs.
Okay.
And then explorers, ESFPs, ESFJs,
ENTPs?
ENTPs and ENFPs.
Well, that's great.
Yeah. Now,
I like that role.
right, I like that too. Now, I apologize because I didn't have it written out in front of me. I had to make sure I was getting it right.
That's all right. That's what NFGeeks is all about.
Right. Yep. But now, if your theory is correct, now, in other words, it kind of seems like that the NT one makes sense to me. Probably one because I'm an NT, but two because it fits into that role that I kind of thought up almost, that alternative role. Now, but your NF role almost doesn't seem like it really fits into that role so much.
No, and actually, what happens, I think, is that what the difficulty is that because here's the thing, we're not self-contained. I mean, the NT thing I just talked about is not self-contained, and it goes outside of NT and interacts with our waves, and our waves interact with NT stuff, maybe even interferes with it. Sometimes it combines, sometimes it interferes.
Mm-hmm.
You know, at different points. But it does feel, as an NF, when I really think about it, it's what's really being passed on between the NFs is emotion, not the intuitive things. It's emotional things. And what does it feel like? It feels like being hit by waves. It does feel that way. I'm going to get a ton of comments from NFs who are like, oh my God, you just nailed it. You know, it feels like waves. But again, like, you could think ocean or water, but also think of like radio waves. The Js, the ENFJ and the INFJ, are better at directing it. Just like there's certain technology that can direct waves, whereas INFPs and ENFPs, it circles out from us. We can't direct it. Like, I know I can't direct it. Think about this in class. Okay. You've been in my class.
Sure,
when I teach, I'm sending out waves to the whole class. I can't direct it at a specific student. If you ask me something, I can answer, but when I'm like giving my whole shtick, you know, it is a shtick. But when I'm giving the shtick, it's really, think about it, it's coming out like this. Right? Don't you feel it like that? No?
No, in a way, I kind of do agree because I've always thought of myself as being a teacher, as an INTJ teacher, and I've always thought, you know, my personality type, I'd only naturally appeal to only certain people. Whereas you, I feel like you can even reach out to more broader audience.
Okay. I think that too. Well, about me, not necessarily about you.
No, it's okay.
Right, and I think it's because I'm sending out an energy. I won't say energy because that sounds too NF. I'm sending out a wave of feeling that's
a gamma ray.
Sure, a gamma ray. I would love to send out gamma rays. That would be awesome.
Destroy all the SJs.
No, I wouldn't want to destroy them. Oh, actually, I have an SP and SJ theory. Do you want to hear this?
Sure, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's not as developed because I've only been thinking about the NT and NF.
Right, yeah.
And again, the NT one I'm actually most proud of. Because I've really thought about it.
Yeah, it's just the NF one, I'm not sure, because it kind of seems like it contradicts the whole, like, role of Myers-Briggs and everything.
Sure, I am, well, one of the things I want to do now with NFGeeks is alter the theory.
Okay.
I do want to, like, alter it.
Okay.
And paint it in my own image.
Well, we'll get on to SP and SJ.
Okay, sure. All right. The SP one, as I was thinking, how is SPs working? They're working like atoms in fission. They bounce off each other.
Yep.
So each SP is like an atom. I don't know which would be the specific role, but they're more like atoms, and they're hitting each other, and they're getting energy from that, and they're going faster and faster and faster and faster. And sometimes they're just going off in all these weird individual directions. But that's because it's like, you know, atoms when they're being heated.
Yeah, like
go, and then they go. That's my first theory. My SJ theory, and I try to explain this to Noah. It's okay. Sometimes things get lost.
Did it work on SJ command? When you tried to explain it to him, or no?
No. This was after all that.
Oh, okay.
This was after all that. I was trying to make him feel better. But it seems to me, and this is I have a relationship to NT about this, and this is why NTs and SJs, I think, get along. SJs are interlocked like a machine. Okay? They are parts of a machine, and they share energy and purpose through being interlocking parts, which is different from you guys. You guys are circuits. Okay? And so they're not designing the machine. They're parts of the machine, and they're trying to interlock with each other for the purpose of the machine. However, this machine, this is why it works, with NTs, the machine has to be designed. You
Right.
have to have a design.
Right.
Who's designing that?
The NTs.
Right, you are. So you design the machine, they become the parts of machine to make it work.
Right.
And this is why I think SPs and NFs have a relationship, because we send out these energy waves, and
And
that forces the SPs to start
random particles.
Right.
Yes. Oh, okay. Well.
See, we're changing the whole world, Alex. You and me.
Yes, but I do think we need to work on this a bit more because I still
Sure.
I still do think that
No,
it
you're
doesn't.
right.
It's not. I like the NT one. I think you're onto something with the NT one. I definitely agree with you on that. But the NF one, I just think you're just kind of changing the Myers-Briggs a bit too much almost.
Okay.
And I think that needs more work. But I do think it's a good idea.
Sure.
I mean,
if I had to be linear, it would be INFJ, ENFP, INFP, ENFJ.
Okay.
And there's something relating there, because ENFJs, ENFP have a relationship,
Mhm.
and INFP, ENFJ has a relationship.
Because there's just
Similar.
something about that. If you're saying that they have a different order than the NTs, you're saying there's something wrong with the Myers-Briggs then.
Well, I can say that.
No, that's fine. That's fine. You can say that.
Well, it's not so much that something wrong, it's that it seems non-linear to me. And what happens is, even though the INFJ... So, for example, when the INFJ starts it off, because they're extroverted feelers, it hits the ENFP, and the ENFP gets it. It doesn't stop with me. The waves keep going. I pick up the waves and can interpret it, but it keeps going, even though it keeps going beyond me to the other nodes, to the other people, the other consciousnesses. Whereas the the NTs, it's much more controlled. So it goes bip, bip, bip. You know, you guys are much more in control of your process. Whereas
Right.
we're not, because it's waveform.
Right.
That's my theory.
Well, I think overall, I think it is something to think
Well, let me
more.
ask you this. Why is it violating Myers-Briggs, in your opinion? What's the...
Because it's just that
Because this would be a good thing to end on.
NT and NF are just in a different order.
Yes.
And if you're saying that they're in a different order, you're saying there's a different role with them.
Yes,
And that
I
there's
am.
a different... And then you're saying
Yes, I
that...
am.
Yes.
I agree.
So, and that's something that contradicts Myers-Briggs.
Okay.
So that's something that needs to either be analyzed about Myers-Briggs or analyzed about your theory.
Sure. I don't have a problem with that, because
Right.
I actually just thought about this a week ago.
Oh, no, yeah.
You know, I just contemplated.
Right, yeah, but this is definitely something we will definitely need to get back on.
Yes.
Comments will be greatly appreciated.
Yeah, and I also think it's and the purpose of this is to discover how do each of the consciousnesses manifest
Right.
in the physical. Like, I don't want this to be totally abstract. How does NF produce NF things in the physical world, the human world? How does NT do it? How does SJs do it?
Right.
That's why I think it's interlocking pieces.
Mm-hmm.
You know, how do they do it? And this is
Right.
why they get upset with everybody else, because we don't fit into the machine.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm a piece that doesn't fit into the... You know, where am I? Am I a spark plug? Am I a piston? I'm none of those things. You know? So they get mad. They try to force me into
Right,
the...
indeed.
You know?
Yeah.
All right. Any other final thoughts?
I think we're good. I think I think now we really can't continue with this unless we hear feedback, honestly.
Okay.
You know, so...
Great.
But I think we're good now. I definitely agree with you, the NT one. I think you're on something with that, and I can see why that would be the easiest to come up with, because we're the most logical.
Yes, I have to admit, I got to give NTs credit.
So I can see why that would be the
Yes.
easiest, and why that would be the first one
Yes.
to come up with.
Right. It was easy to follow the pattern.
Right, but I think with the other ones, I'm not sure. We need to hear feedback.
Right.
I think we need more on that.
Well,
We
what
don't
I'm
have
going
enough
to
yet.
do, and you'll see this in other videos, I'm actually going to ask. I don't have any other NT but you. So,
Okay.
But the other NFs that come on, I'm going to ask the same question and see how they
Okay,
respond.
sure, yeah, definitely do that.
All right.
Excellent.
Great. Thank you, Alex.
No
I'm
problem.
glad that you indulged me.
Excellent. Glad to hear this theory.
Great. Thank you.